Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon. I've seen attendees registering from California, Canadians, down to Florida, up to New York, Massachusetts. So we've got a good portion of North America attending, as I think this is a very real situation that we have and we've been knowing about in all of our schools. So thank you for taking the time today. We'll get started here, and I just wanted to, we've got a few panels and speakers that we'll go through and I'll introduce real quick, but just for a few housekeeping items. Throughout the presentation, I expect the presentation to be approximately 35 to 45 minutes. I'm gonna hold off all Q&A till the end. There is on your Zoom session, there is a Q&A button. If you have questions during the presentation, please put your questions in there, and we will address towards the end, and we will go through it as a team towards the end of it. So again, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon to everybody that's joining. We've got a great webinar teed up for you this morning. I want to first, before we get into it, I really wanted to express how this all came about, and it came about back in November when I was working with a customer down in Florida. I toured and visited with them and had asked them, what was keeping them up at night. And I'll say, lo and behold, I was very surprised at the answer to that. It was that they had 13 E911 calls to one high school within 1 week. And I took a step back and I said, wow, what happened? Well, what's going on in that school? I would think all kinds of things that could happen. And what it was around vaping. There were e-cigarettes, e-cartridges that were having, terrible effects on kids that are out in their schools, and it caused a massive controversy within the school. Not only that, but you think about the cost that it costs the school to call the police, the fire departments, the ambulances that had to come out 13 times. So what's the cost to that, not only to the school, but also to the community? So it really, raised my eyebrows and said, from a data networking environment, and we're out there in so many schools throughout North America and throughout the world, how can we work together to help resolve this or help come to a solution? So that's really where this started. It started back not long ago, back in November. And I'm thrilled to be here sitting just a couple of months later, several months later, hosting this webinar and with one of our ecosystem partners. So I'll first introduce myself. My name's Dave Savage. I'm the Senior Director for Education at Extreme Networks for North America. I've had the opportunity to be recently promoted to Senior Director. I've been working with education for my lifetime here of 24 years throughout North America. So I'm very excited to be able to host this webinar today. So again, I'll introduce our next panelist. This is one of our ecosystem partners, IPVideo, for bringing us the Halo solution. Steve Rice, you care to say a few words?
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Glad you could be here. Glad I could be a part of your day. Look forward to sharing about IPVideo, our Halo product, and our partnership with Extreme. I'm sure you'll find at the end that we will be providing great solutions for you, for your schools around vaping and safety. So look forward to sharing with you on all of those aspects. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Our next panelist, longtime Director and Product Manager of Education.
Thanks, Dave. So I'm super excited. William Aguilar here. I'm going to be doing a demo of the value proposition that the combined solution provides. I'm super excited as a prop head networking guy. We build all the all the underlying pipes, if you will, of the networks. But we're excited when applications like this that directly help the safety of our students leverage our technology. So super excited to show you that later.
Right. Thanks, Will, and thanks, Steve. Looking forward to our webinar today. I'm going to kick it off with just a short video.
Progress is an action. It's movement that pushes us forward. driving us to a better destination. And it's rarely achieved alone. At Extreme, we believe that progress is sparked by connecting our customers, not just to the internet, but to the world, to each other, effortlessly. Because we believe that when we connect, we learn, we create, and we grow together. We also know that progress is about leadership and innovation, about being on the cutting edge, whether it's inventing the first gigabit Ethernet switch, or delivering the first and only cloud-driven end-to-end enterprise networking solution. It's being one step ahead and always looking forward, advancing, unafraid to try something never done before. We won't rest until we make every network experience truly effortless. That's why we push the boundaries of technology, leveraging the powers of machine learning, artificial intelligence, analytics, and automation. Progress is driven by people, our people, who deliver continuous innovation at cloud speed. Because we know that's how our customers need us to be. We see a world where enterprise networking is autonomous and effortless, advancing the way we connect, work, and live like never before. Progress is action. It's movement. And we want to take you on that journey forward. Progress.
So it's progress and moving forward. You know, we've got a great webinar teed up today, but I want to start out with who is Extreme and why is Extreme hosting this with such a great IoT solution that's out there. So we're a company that's about 25 years old. We're just a little bit over $1 billion in revenue. We span worldwide. We've got customers worldwide. You know, that video, I always say it comes near and dear to my heart. We talked about the first gigabit Ethernet switch. You saw that, and you saw those little blinky lights, right? Those LED lights. What we do is, you know, going back into heritage and networking, we invented those, and we hold a patent on those LED lights that are out there. So we're the second in the industry that's got the most active patents in data networking and wireless in the data networking space. So as I look at it, you know, we are number 3 in the industry from a size perspective. I look at it, we're number 1 in the industry because we're the only ones that focus on wired, wireless, and centralized management. And as you talk to customers that are out there that leverage Extreme products, they're all going to brag about, you know, our service and support. It's a big differentiator in the marketplace, particularly when you're in the K through 12 space and you're limited to have a number of staff on hand that are out there be able to service and support your products. We're very proud to say we're 100% insourced from our GTAC and our service and support worldwide. So what else are we doing? We are driving where cloud networking is going. And we're doing that through, I'll say, really 3 pillars. As we talk about our centralized management, being able to have visibility and vision into your wired and wireless infrastructure from one pane of glass. The next piece is visibility and analytics. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to have analytics based on your A student or your D or your F student? Be able to track where they are, what they've been doing, what they've been going to. And not only that, you know, as today we're going to show you how our automation tools will allow you to interact with third-party IoT devices. So that's where you're going to see some demonstrations later in our presentation. And we're going to talk really specifically around centralized management in our Halo IoT device that is brought to you by IPVideo. So if I can, I'm going to turn it back over to Steve Rice. Steve, take us through your solution, if you would, please.
Thanks, Dave. Again, appreciate you all being on the call. Really today is about helping you understand how IPVideo has become a leader in multi-IoT sensor technology and created an excellent ecosystem with several partners, but today really excited about showing you how Extreme is taking that technology to a new level. IPVideo Corporation is a New York-based company. All of our products are manufactured here in the U.S. and been in business for 3 decades, and excited to show you more about how we've won so many awards with our Halo technology. And because these are just some of those that you see at the bottom here. And at the end, our website location is there as well for further reference on the things that we talk about today. So Dave, if you'd advance it to the next slide, that'd be great. So some of the things that IPVideo does are listed here. Our main highlight today is on Halo, but we also provide products around our AV Fusion that will come in line a lot with schools when you're trying to do interviews of students and parents and faculty when you have incidents with vaping or safety. Our ViewScan product is a metal detection system or a concealed weapons detection that's very safe and easy to use that you can go to our website and learn more about. And then we have consulting services around all these products. I want to speak to a little bit about that through our True Security Design later on. But these are the main focuses of IPVideo. And as we go forward, we'll be spending our time today looking at the Halo Smart Sensor. Dave, next slide, please. So Halo, our multi-IoT sensor, has been on the market now since March of last year. We've been marketing it as primarily in that time as a vape and THC detection system because that's what it is. But now we're moving into other areas, and we're going to talk about that as well today in terms of air quality, how we help you monitor your school's air quality and environmental situation, as well as things that might be happening chemically in the areas of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. But even more exciting, since we announced back in March of 2019, we now have moved more into safety and security with the device. And we'll be talking about that. Next slide, please. So from the Halo has 12 different sensors in it, but that's not a one-to-one. What it's capable of doing is monitoring thousands to millions of different kinds of particulates in the air to be able to create what are called signatures out of the Halo sensor. So what we're going to be talking about today are things like what we're doing with audio analytics and how we've expanded that into being able to do gunshot, keywords, be able to talk about aggression and bullying and capture that as an event within the Halo. But the other key part, and I'm sure most of the reasons people are on the call today, is about air quality and what we're able to do with vaping and vaping with THC, and which is something that nobody else on the market can do today, is to monitor and detect THC in bathrooms. We also have some new features we're going to talk about today in terms of masking and what that means. As your students get more clever about understanding our devices, they try to do things to mask what they're doing in the bathroom, and we've addressed it and evolved with that. So not only are that, we're seeing schools being more concerned about carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide in the buildings throughout the day and how we can alert them on that and integrate with your HVAC systems. Lighting is still another area where we can build in efficiencies, understand occupancy, and know when somebody's covering the Halo when they shouldn't be. So, and from that standpoint, we can help you monitor your temperature, humidity, and be able to know when somebody's tampering with the device. So it's a very comprehensive device that will work with your school in many areas of use. Next slide, please. So here gives you a sense, I really want to stress here how easy this is to use for a school, because what's happening here is that you see a screen here, which is the user interface that's showing you that what's going on with the Halo device in each particular area. This particular one is in a bathroom, monitoring things like vaping with THC, vandal, gunshot, our keyword detection, as well as aggression. I'm going to talk about each one of these. But the concept here is that you'll see the little red triangles, which are the threshold marks that you set up and control. What happens is that when one of these thresholds are exceeded, then we have predefined in that what kind of actions we'll take. And you're going to see an exciting demo of that with Will later on in terms of how you expand that. But in reality, once you install the halo up in the ceiling, you're basically monitoring, and all of a sudden something will happen and you'll get a text on your phone, or you'll get an email that allows you to address that situation, and with Extreme it is going to be able to speed up that response because it'll know where people are to be able to do that quickly. So as you see here from the things that we do in terms of the sensors and the thresholds, we have the ability also to do scheduling with that. And so with the scheduling, we're able to then, excuse me, set it up so that we may have things going on in the area that require us that we don't want to monitor certain things, but other things. So, for example, if we've got in a bathroom, we've got the janitors doing cleaning, that's a different kind of monitoring we want to do, and then we have scheduling that comes with that. A key part of that is that one of the things that's not on here but important to talk about is masking. Students have gotten clever over the time with our device and have been doing things like aerosol to cover up their vaping in the bathroom. Well, with our device, we're now able to identify aerosol products along with the signature of vaping or vaping with THC and be able to report that to you as well. When you talk about the aspect of the kids trying to get around vaping, there's also the aspect of vandal. So they'll try to remove it or cover it. And so we have the ability to send alerts, email and text, of when something's happened in terms of the student trying to move it. It's also an IK10 device, so it allows you to protect it from vandalism, like with a ball bat. Somebody hits the device, it's actually going to break the ceiling before it breaks the device. So you've got a very secure and solid device that you're putting up in the bathrooms, or the hallways, the locker rooms, because they're going to go a lot of different places. Because as we look at it further, when you think about aggression, that's one of the newer features that we have within our system now, is that we can now learn and be able to just monitor things that are happening in the bathroom with regards to bullying or yelling. So now we can report those kinds of things to you in case of a stressful situation occurs. The other part of that is what we can do with our gunshot area, and be able to talk about the fact that with gunshot, we can actually within a 12 by 12 area be able to report back any kind of caliber of gun to assist you with regards to reporting that back as an aspect of what we do with care of safety and concern for the students, that those things might be going on. We also have the ability to do what's called keyword, and with keywords, that allows us to then have specific words that faculty would be aware of in case of a situation. So you'll see some of our videos on our website called Halo Help. So you have the ability to initiate the Halo to be able to record WAV files that you can now have instructions to when those things occur. So you're going to see a greater demonstration of all of this, but these are the exciting things that happen with our Halo and the device itself that takes it beyond just environmentals and safety. Next slide, please.
Thanks, Steve. Let me we've had a few more people join, just reiterate that if you have any questions, please submit them under in the QA panel. We'll address them towards the end. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So let's take a little bit to look at how the Halo is physically architected and how it looks as you see on the left-hand side. It's basically a flush mount device that goes up in your ceiling. If you have hardened ceilings, we can use a surface mount adapter with that to place it up on the ceiling. It works within a 12 by 12 area within the bathroom or hallways or locker rooms, classrooms, wherever you're going to put them. And it's really like installing a camera in the sense of it uses PoE and allows you to connect it by power that way and easily install it up in those false ceilings that are in your bathrooms or the hardened ceilings. It comes with a speaker and a microphone as well, which allows us to do the wave files. What's important here, though, is that whenever I say speaker and microphone, people start to get concerned that we're recording video, and we're not. All we're doing is taking the analytics or the metadata of those voices to be able to make our decisions and to notify people of what's going on. So no recording of audio or video occurs with this device. So the other aspect of that is that we do have enabled on the device Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, as well as USB ports. And all of these can be enabled with just updates to the firmware, which you've seen so far. So very simply, once you've installed it, then you have the configuration that we'll show you in a little bit of how to set them up. But in reality, you can have these units up and running in hours and detecting the things going on in your schools very quickly. The other aspect of this now is the fact that we've created this partnership with Extreme, and they are going to show you how these third-party connections work with our API that they've got up and going very quickly. So with that, let's move to the next slide, please. So as a part of that discussion of the ecosystem, here you will see all the various kinds of integrations that we've done, because really look at the Halo as an intelligent IoT device that will partner or be integrated with a lot of different head-in platforms, single planes of glass, situational awareness, whatever you want to call it, with the ability to provide you with the information that you need to make the decisions that you need to make, okay? So these are many of the different integration partners we have, from video management systems, access control, emergency management, mass notification, HVAC systems. So it's all here in terms of the places that you can go in terms of the types of integrations that you can do. Next slide, please. So with that, just want to tickle your interest a little bit more in terms of where we're headed with the device in terms of our roadmap. So one of the things you'll see in the Q3 is we will have a cloud portal option for our product, so that you'll be able to make choices about how you want to manage your halos, whether that be on-premise or with the cloud capabilities that can do aggregation and reporting and updates very quickly. We'll also be adding additional keywords. Think of the concept of being able to do things like Alexa does and say, turn on lights, or execute things with an HVAC system, or be able to have additional help words that tell the Halo to initiate something with another system. We'll be actually doing a lot more with remote sensors, where you can see the Halo as a hub, and it'll communicate with other analog sensors within a school, healthcare, that they're used to using, that allows us to be that central repository of information. We will be coming out with another user interface for our product. In addition, you're going to start to see stuff that we're trying to relate when it comes back to environmental quality, because that will be an extreme importance to schools as they go back, and because air quality can have a big effect on how COVID reacts in those environments. So you'll see a live interface to what we do for air quality index recordings that are standard in the marketplace. We've enhanced our cybersecurity to protect it even further in terms of being hacked by the outside world. We're moving into areas of glass break, as well as having a more more sophisticated scheduling interface for what we do. And over time, the Halo has learned and adjusted to many of the environments that are out there. But now we're going to add the aspect of that of being able to make those adjustments dynamically versus you having to go in if you're a reseller or an end user of adjusting those thresholds and the algorithms to that. We will be doing that automatically. Next slide, please. So with that, there's an aspect of this that I'd like to talk about with regards to not only do we at IPVideo help you with the devices like Halo, but oftentimes we get the questions of, okay, I've found people, vaping in the bathroom, now what? How do I get the right processes and procedures in place? How do I make sure that when we're conducting interviews, they're done well and professionally and protect the rights of all of those involved, and we document the due diligence of that? So we have various webinars that allow us to come alongside your schools and other institutions to be able to address these kinds of concerns, as well as just understanding the dangers of vaping. So our organization, True Security Design, provides all those kinds of professional services that we can bring alongside to assist you as well. Next slide, please. So this is just contact details for us across the US and Canada, where we can come alongside and assist you with any other questions you may have after this presentation is over. But we are excited that you're here and look forward to continuing those dialogues with you. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to turn it over to Will. And Will,
thanks, Steve.
All yours.
All right, thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. So yeah, so now we're going to talk about the solution, the integrated solution. Obviously, the Halo sensor provides a lot of benefits, a lot of functionality by itself. Extreme has, as David mentioned, a heritage of providing networking and automated networking and bringing value into that data. So combining the two things is a case where hopefully 1 + 1 = 3, right? So that's what we're going to cover in the next few slides, and then after a couple slides, I'll actually do a live demo, which was, again, when Dave mentioned, when he brought this to me a couple of months ago, it's like, hey, what can we do quickly? And as you guys know, and even in an agile development environment, it takes a while to get new features and functionality in there. So within what I'm going to show today, it's really a part of our core functionality is built in. It was ready to go. So it was really more of providing those integration pieces, right? So very excited. So if you go to the next slide, Dave. Cloud is really, really powerful. So cloud is providing the ability, why is it so powerful? Is more and more devices are connecting to the network. So as you mentioned, IoT sensors, like Steve mentioned, Halo is one of those, advanced IoT sensors, but there's a ton more sensors for, lighting, smart locks, smart lights, thermostats, HVAC systems. So all these devices are coming online. And what used to be a division where this is your IT department and this is your facilities department, now it's blending together, right? So now you got all these smart devices. So in order to address all those smart devices, as well as all the online requirements of students, right? Whether it's on-site on campus or unfortunately now with the COVID pandemic, that's pushed the boundaries of education out into the home, right? With a lot of online courses. So the network is really, it's never been more important. And bringing all these devices together, as far as I know, most of the customers I talk to, their IT departments are not growing by leaps and bounds, even though the requirements to connect devices are growing every day. So the ability to automatically detect devices and pre-configure the network, that's super important. Once you have the devices online, then the ability to collect all that data. Today, there's just tons and tons and tons of data that gets collected, but nobody has the time to sit down and kind of dig through and finding the kind of the needle of the haystack. So bringing all that data together into the cloud. Why cloud? Because the cloud provides unlimited CPU resources, unlimited storage. With the newer generation clouds that we're the first in the industry to provide with 4th generation networking applications in the cloud, it's virtually always up, right? So, I mean, we're talking about, remember, I'm an old guy like Dave, so we used to talk about 5 nines in telco, right? Now we're talking in the 13 nines, right? So it's unbelievable the amount of, compute power that we have now by leveraging the power of the cloud. So you're still going to need on-prem devices. Obviously, you still need the physical connectivity, but that management plane, right, the ability to manage all the devices and then go to the next level is to bring all that data using machine learning to figure out, every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, this is how my network behaves, because I see, students coming in and teachers, and for some reason this morning, on a Monday, it's acting differently, right? So it's the network to tell you automatically what's going on. That's super important. That's where you start taking those zeros and ones, those bits and bytes, and converting them into, from data into information, and then eventually into intelligence. That's the power that the cloud gives us, is that unlimited compute power to be able to do that. And ultimately, it's to drive better outcomes for our students, for our teachers, for our administrators. So it's super critical. That's this whole, our whole solution, as Dave mentioned, as the first, cloud-driven networking provider in the industry. We're always looking to move that bar, right? So this is what we're doing, with the integration with Halo. Next slide, Dave. So on the next slide, I'm going to give you an example, and this translates directly to the demo that I'm going to show, right? So in traditional networks, obviously you got your switching, your routers, your firewalls, right? You got your access points to onboard devices. You got your student devices, right? So, similar case in the solution that we're going to talk about today. The Halo IoT sensor, as Steve mentioned, it's a PoE power device, right? So the first value that Extreme can bring into the solution is to provide PoE power to those devices. Obviously, anybody can provide PoE power from a switch. So that's, that's probably a me too. When you start, building up, or there's additional advantage that we can provide, right? So for example, providing an AP in many of our locations, an AP could be directly outside the bathroom or a public area, or maybe it's inside the bathroom. Some of the Extreme APs provide PoE power directly, right? PoE pass-through power. So that saves you a lot of money in cabling, depending where, you have unions, requirements, and things like that, anywhere from $150 to $350, $500, per drop, right? So now you're able to onboard those devices directly through the AP. Steve mentioned also that in the latest update, the Halo sensor can also connect as a Wi-Fi client. So in this demo, I'm not showing you the sensor connecting as a Wi-Fi client, but that's another way to onboard the Halo sensor into the network, right? Is for the Halo sensor to act as a Wi-Fi client connecting directly into your Wi-Fi network. And once you're in the Wi-Fi network, now we can start providing additional value added. There's one last use case that I'll mention here, which is providing, we have a solution called Defender for IoT, which is like a mini, it looks like a mini midspan, right? Because it's a one in, one out, little switch, but it's more than that, right? It actually provides visibility, access control, secure onboarding, as well as direct connectivity to our fabric capabilities, right? So if you deploy an IoT sensor, such like a Halo sensor with Defender for IoT, that's the most flexibility, because now you don't have to worry about, all you have to worry about is the actual physical installation of the sensor, but the network will automatically configure itself, right? Once you already define it, every time you bring up a Halo sensor, a thermostat, whatever the case may be, the network will automatically configure itself. So that's super, super important, because a lot of these devices, and not necessarily yours, Steve, the Halo sensor, but a lot of other like HVAC system, thermostats and smart lights, things like that, have what we call consumer grade stacks, right? So they don't support a lot of the security mechanisms that are expected in IP stacks today, like 802.1x, for example, things of that nature. So it's important that the network itself is able to not only onboard those devices, but also secure the network and protect the rest of the network from any potential new threats that could be available there. So, secure onboarding is super important, to the overall solution. The third piece is service assurance, right? As obviously this is critical for the safety and the health of our students. So making sure that, whatever network capacity you have is always available there for any type of event, then it's super critical. So an intelligent network able to onboard the devices and provide the quality of service and service assurance that you need to ensure that. Then you start now once you have that device connected, you got the power, it's connected, it's secure, now you need to monitor it, right? So sensor monitoring, that's our applications now are able to monitor, hundreds of thousands of devices. For example, our cloud solution, our Extreme Cloud IQ today manages over 1 million devices worldwide, right? So super scalable, and gives you a lot of visibility and out of control. When you start monitoring, then you want to know just the typical basic things: is the sensor up or down? Things of that nature, right? But now you want to start acting to alerts and alarms. And again, you may get a bunch of all these things together, not necessarily from the Halo sensor, but you may get hundreds of events or thousands of events a day. So trying to figure out which is the important, which is the Halo event that's really important to act on it is super critical. And that's where our automated task capabilities come into play. So now you can configure the network to actually to react to one of those events. And the demo that I'm going to show today, it's basically, simulating a vaping event where the Halo sensor detects a vaping event. It sends an alert to the Extreme systems. The Extreme systems capture that alert. They translate that alert, and then they perform a set of tasks against that alert, right? And at the end, the outcome is that you get a list of student devices that are connected to an AP that is near to that sensor. That's super important because now tying together the existence on a vaping event and tying it to the physical presence of a student will help you teach those students, right? Really use it as a positive reinforcement to help those students understand, hey, vaping is a health risk, bullying is not right. So it's really using it as a training exercise. So that's where you start adding the value of the network and the data that we're collecting. Next slide, please. So the next slide is just again, it captures just setting up the demo that I'm about to do in a minute or so. So you could see here, imagine that you got a school with classrooms. You got Halo sensors dispersed. Maybe it's in the in the locker rooms, in the bathrooms. Places that are not easy to do. Maybe you got labs and places like that it may be not easy to visually see the students. So you can deploy these, and the solution gives you the Extreme Cloud IQ solution gives you visibility onto this, and then you could start not only acting to the outcomes, but also it gives you a lot of visibility to the health of your network, right? So with that, Dave, I'm gonna go. If you could just give me the con for a second, I'll take over.
Certainly, thanks, Will.
Okay, just let me know when this is showing.
Yes, we can see it.
All right, awesome. So I'll give Steve first up, Steve. So if you want to, obviously the star of the show today is the Halo sensor. So Steve, I'm gonna jump into a live demo of your sensor.
Perfect. So then, based on what you're seeing here, this is our graphical user interface that's showing you all of the different kinds of things that a school or an entity may want to monitor. So we have the ability to take care of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, gunshots, vaping with THC, any masking that might be going on, any tampering that we want to be aware of, as well as humidity, air temperature, and excuse me, light levels, ambient light. So that's what you're going to be setting up your halos to be doing. Once you've done that, if you move over into the events area for me, Dave, you see here, this is how you actually configure the device to be able to say what the thresholds are, any advanced settings you want to do. But as you look at it, there's a list here of what we showed you on the live screen. But David, if you go down into the center under the data source to the down arrow in the box below, you see it?
Sorry?
Over the other way.
No.
Right in the center.
Under TVOC. Go under the TVOC. See the TVOC?
In the middle.
Yep. Yep.
So go under, not that box, but the one underneath it, underneath the TVOC.
Add. Yep.
In the center. In the center.
Oh, sorry.
There you
Never
go.
mind. All right.
That's
Gotcha.
all right. This is a very long list of all of the other things the sensor is actually monitoring that you actually haven't put on the screen. So know that you have the capability of configuring it all sorts of different ways depending on your environment and the requirements that you have. So with you, in your events tab, this is how you're basically setting up thresholds and the rules by which how I want to be reported back with regards to any exceeding of that event or going over the thresholds. So moving on, you have all sorts of ways to set up actions now. What actions do I want to have? And in my actions page is here how I do it. Do I want to send a relay? Do I to turn on a camera or turn on the HVAC? Do I want to send a light? Because in my chemistry department, I've had a chemical spill and I need to notify people not to go in there. I can set this up so that I have sounds where I can do instructional types of things. Because the way this integration that Will's going to show is you'll see how we can become a true safety device with respect to if an event occurs, then I can turn a light. Not only can I tell you where people are, but I can turn on lights for safe passage, red, green, yellow. Which way should my students go based on an event that's occurred that could put people in a difficult situation or in a threatening situation. So you have the ability to set up sounds and lights as well as turn on cameras and all sorts of activations that you're going to see the way Extreme does it here shortly. So then now that I have my actions, then I have to figure out what are my notifications that I want to have. And so in the notifications tab that's there, if you could go up to the notifications tab, I think you will, you'll see how we set up text messages. We set up being able to do SMTP in terms of text messaging, so forth. And Will's going to show how he's done that with Extreme here in a minute. But we have the ability to do health monitoring with heartbeats, which Extreme is going to take to a new level with what they do. So there's the aspect of what we do in terms when it comes to setting up the notifications. So if you could go to the next tab, Will, that would be great. So we're going into the device, and this is how you configure the devices with regards to IP schemes, physical addressing of what bathrooms they're in, passwords, things like that. There's also logs in these devices that allow you to download it so that you can do things like trending, understand what's happening in various areas of your school or facility. So that's what happens in your devices side. And for you that are trying to troubleshoot the devices, the About tab helps you with knowing your schemes of addressing your MAC addresses, all the firmware that's on there, and all those kinds of things to help you troubleshoot the device. So that hopefully, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So hopefully this has helped you understand how the Halo comes together as a device. And now Will's going to show you how to put that into your environment that you do with Extreme. Will?
Thanks, Steve. So as Steve mentioned, thanks, Steve, for going through that, through the interface there for the Halo sensor. So what I'm showing you here is, remember we talked about, if you think about a couple slides back, right, you got a Halo sensor that's connected to an Extreme network. We have, an application that's collecting data. And then that application is also providing the workflow, the task workflow that's going to act, that can create an actionable, an action based on an event triggered from the Halo sensor, right? And that's XMC. And then that application is going to query our cloud application to extract the information about the device, right? So what does our cloud look like? Go really quickly here. So so this is Extreme Cloud, and you're looking at Extreme Cloud IQ Pilot. So you can see the little pilot glasses here, I guess, in there. But this gives you, not only gives you, monitoring capability, but it gives you a lot of, it gives you the ability to onboard, configure. It gives you, this is where we got integrated machine learning and artificial intelligence, right? And even it has comparative analytics. So if you want to see what the world is doing across the world, the number of data, this is the amount of data that we are currently, our Extreme Networks are currently processing. It doesn't mean that 6 petabyte data is being sent to the cloud. It means that the networks that are under Extreme Cloud IQ today are processing currently 6 petabytes of data all over the world, right? So this is where just shows you the power of the cloud. So back into back into this view here, I wanted to show you. So in our design, we have a sensor that's running, a Halo sensor that's running directly on, that's running inside a bathroom, right? It's all located in our lab in Salem, New Hampshire. But imagine that the sensor's in a lab, and then you got an access point that happens to be called High School 1 AP. So we have an access point that is right next to that device. So here you can get all kinds of information, about the access point, how its overall health, how is it connected, what type of devices. So this is all, type of information that you would expect. Pretty granular, helps you in the troubleshooting side. And then you could go in to actually see, you can actually go see the floor. Where's that device? So imagine that in this map here, we got a high school 1 AP, and imagine this is the bathroom, and then that right next to it is the Halo sensor, right? So this is the application where we're going to talk to extract the clients that are connected to the APs in that bathroom right now. Okay. So the intermediary application, Extreme Management Center, you can see here, you can see in the bottom, right here in yellow, I left it in yellow. You could see the Halo sensor. The reason that it's in yellow is because an event has been generated and I haven't cleared it yet, right? So I haven't acted on that event. So I left it in yellow so you could see it. So we can see that the Halo sensor through ICMP, ICMP, for example, we use to detect that the sensor is online. Now I'm going to go really quickly here to show you. This is the Halo sensor that's running in our lab. And as Steve mentioned, we have, let me just show you the notifications, the notification screens here. You can see in the VMS settings, we're actually taking the event stream and sending it to XMC and then parsing that event and actually acting on it, right? So this is the configuration. This is our management application address. So I'm going to go ahead and cause an event to happen, right? So I'm going to cause an event, and you could see in the live view that the vape sensor is detected right over the threshold, so it's creating the event. So while that's getting created, I'll go through the workflow diagram, and this is totally configurable, right? So you can decide what you want to do when you see an event. You can create different workflows for different event types. If you want to react to a vandal event differently than a vaping event or a TC event, whatever it is the case, you have total flexibility as an administrator to decide how you want to react to that. In this case, what we're doing is we're processing the event, as you saw on the Halo screen. We're generating an event. The first thing is when we see an event getting generated and the system grabs it, it tries to go, okay, this event came from this Halo sensor. What are the APs that are close to the vicinity of that sensor? And based on that, once you do that, now we've determined, okay, these are the access points or the access points that are near it. So now we want to query our cloud application to figure out, hey, what on that AP, can you query the devices that are connected to that AP right now, right? And this happens obviously in real time. At that point, we have a list of devices that are connected there. now we extract that identity information and we create an email. Okay, so now we create an email, and in this case, we're creating an email and we're sending an email to the administrator to act on that data. Okay, so that's the workflow, the total workflow. Now, if we go back in here and look at the event that I just created, right? So I caused an event to be generated, and you could see that the event was generated up here. Okay, so here's your Halo event that gets generated, and you're seeing that there's been two. So I just generated one a couple minutes ago, and then you switch over, and again, the event got generated, and now the system created all the workflow tasks, and then I get an email with a list of devices that are connected to that AP. And again, this is all to use it as a teaching exercise for the students, right? So if you see, as you collect this information, that you see the same student, you know, and it happens to be near the vicinity of multiple times of events, that could be an issue that you need to follow through, right? So again, this is a simple use case to show you the power of not only the detection, but now what you can do with the data. And at that point, I'll turn it over to you, Savage.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Will, appreciate it. You know, I will say, you know, hats off to you and the teams. You know, we've incorporated the Halo IoT sensor into our integrated management solution, you know, in a very short period of time. And we've got a lot of joint customers that are out there today. You know, we had a session about a month ago and we found about 10 other joint customers that we have with Halo, you know, in their integration, and seeing the integrations. We're working on a white paper that we will have posted up on IPVideo site, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. You know, again, you know, compliments to your team, Will, working quickly in bringing the Halo sensors into our centralized management solution. So, you know, you did a great job showing it today. I also want to extend an invitation out. We've got weekly webinars around our cloud wireless solutions, public, private, and local clouds. I'll bring this back up towards the end, but you know, great integration, but done by IPVideo, Steve Rice and Will Aguilar's teams. You know, just in a very short amount of time. You know, and you see the value that Extreme Networks brings to the Halo IoT solution, and it's much more than just a vaping device, a vape sensing devices. Hopefully, as you heard today from Steve. So. That being said, I do want to take, we're running a little bit long, so I may go about 5 minutes longer if that's okay, just due to the number of questions. If I can, I'll read off the question and I'll address to Steve or to Will. That sound good? Steve and Will?
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
All right, I'm going to start. There's one, I can probably answer this. How are the sensors powered? There's powered through PoE. PoE possibility as far as, you know, on extreme switches, as Will had stated. That's one of the value propositions we have. We've certified all of the Halo products on our PoE ports. Steve, any additional comments on how they're powered?
No, it's pretty straightforward, very simple, making the install quite quick.
Yep. So it can be done off Extreme PoE ports. We also have access points that have PoE pass-through ports that we've certified as well. Steve, I think this one's for you. Does the Halo client do 5 gigahertz or is it 11 AC?
5.
5 gigahertz. Okay, is it 11 AC or 11 AX? Wi-Fi 6.
That one I'll have to get back to you on. That one I'm not sure of yet. Sorry. Okay. We'll get an answer to you on that.
No problem. Next question. Does Halo depend on the smoke type vape or will it detect smokeless vape as well?
It's all about what the particulates are in the air. So it's a particulate sensor. So look at it that way, in the sense that as long as we have particulates flowing in the air, we have the signatures and the sensors to be able to detect what's going on. So it has to have more particles in the air for us to be able to evaluate it.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Steve. How close does the Halo sensor need to be to the person who is vaping to achieve positive identification?
Yeah, so with respect to that, the best practices are for the Halo is that it's in a 12 by 12 area with an 8 to a 9 foot ceiling. And you want to keep the devices like you do, consider when you do smoke detectors, you keep them close to the exhaust and not close to your heating and air conditioning systems, because that blows the particulates away from the device. You want the natural flow of air to the exhaust side. So those are the best practices when you're installing the halo.
Great, Steve, thanks. Can asbestos be detected in the air?
Can asbestos? Only as a volatile organic compound within the halo. So that would be how we would detect those kinds of things. But it has to be disturbed to put the particulates in the air. If there's not a disturbance, it's lying still without the ability to do that. So keep that in mind.
Steve, these next two questions, I believe you may want to refer them to your website for integration partners, but integration with Avigalon, and then interested to know more about the integration with VMS software such as ExactQ and WiseNet Wave.
So yeah, so in terms of, if you don't see an integration on our website, just make an inquiry on our website of your interest in doing an integration with a particular product. We do have an API that we train people on to use, like we've done with Extreme. When it comes to the video management side, we have numerous, and really to think about it, that particular integration is done in a way that you can actually take the user interface, treat it like a camera stream, even though it's not a camera, and push it into the VMS, so I can do live monitoring within the VMS of the Halo user interface. There's also dry contacts on the Halo that allow you to kick off a camera once, like Will showed you, when an event occurs, you can take particular actions. And one of those actions can be to initiate a dry contact on the camera to show what activity is going on outside the bathroom, since you can't have cameras inside the bathroom. So now the Halo with the VMS integrations, as well as the integration with Extreme, you now know the who, the where, the when, and the what.
Yeah, great. Great, thanks, Steve. Are there privacy issues with the Halo sensor? If so, how is that addressed?
There are, excellent question. That's one that comes up a whole lot and should, because there could be, but with us, there is not. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, there's no camera to it, so we're not going to be violating privacy with the camera. Number two is that even though we have a speaker and a microphone, it's only about collecting analytics about the voice. We're not recording that person's voice at all. So there are no privacy concerns with respect to that. So it's all about metadata.
Great. This is a question. Running Ethernet into our washrooms is a challenge. Are there any plans for a wireless and battery-powered solution? I think you've got wireless on the roadmap, but as far as powering that device, what about battery?
The battery is not one that we have on the roadmap in the near future. It's something that's come up, but it's not there at this time. So we're either looking for a way to power it on our roadmap some way with the 12 volt or with the PoE that you do today.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, to that end, Dave, right? I mean, you can also run a mid-span device. So I mean, if you have power directly, AC power, then you could just do mid-span directly there, and then connect the sensor off the mid-span device.
Exactly.
And then at that point, you can onboard through the Wi-Fi into the grid, right?
Yep.
Perfect. Yep, that's another way.
Yep. Steve, I think you may have answered this, but does IPVideo have cameras that have the audio monitoring functions of the Halo? Does IPVideo have cameras?
Does IPVideo have cameras? No, IPVideo does not manufacture cameras.
Okay.
What the Halo device is that it does push what's called a 1 frame per second for the user interface, so that the VMS thinks it's a camera, but it's not, so that you can see the interface inside the VMS, but no camera.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. This next one, I think it's our last question. Pretty long, but so let me read it. Halo sensors. Will it pick up cleaning crew supplies being used in the bathrooms or hallways? with the fogging spraying of areas, will those cause alarms? I guess a two-part question.
Yeah, so there's several aspects to that question. So the first one is yes, we do pick up cleaning materials within a bathroom, such as Lysol or air fresheners and different things like that, because they have an ammonia base to them. But at the same time, we're able to tell the difference between that and a vaping scenario or a vaping with THC. So we're able to establish signatures for all those kinds of things. Another example of that is that kids have started spraying aerosols in the bathroom to mask what they're doing vaping-wise. But we're able to, through our signatures, be able to tell what is what and be able to report that within the masking feature that we use with our Halo. So there's ways to do that, both software and configuration of the devices that way. Hopefully that answered the question.
I think so, Steve.
But we can tell the difference. We can tell the difference in the signatures.
Okay. I've got a couple more questions that came up here, and I think a couple are for Will. How are the sensors powered? Probably for
Yeah, I
both.
think we answered that right through PoE, right? So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
power through PoE, and then you got some options there with mid-spans, or I mean, you got several options there.
Next one for you, Will. Is Extreme Cloud required?
You know, it's not required, right? It's a value add that we provide. Again, you know, with Extreme Cloud IQ, we're able to collect all that data. We just showed you kind of an, you know, a real life scenario, a real life use case. But if you can imagine, if over time we could start collecting information, I didn't show you today, but if you go to the webinar on Wednesday, you might be able to see, like, we have client 360, network 360 views. You know, we're looking in the future to build additional 360 views of your campus that are related to health, right? So for example, you know, if you start seeing, as Dave mentioned, one school district had 13 emergencies in a week's time period. Now, I don't remember if that was in one school or multiple schools, but if you could start building data on one school, if you could start building data like that, and you could start, you know, seeing the effectiveness of the teaching of the training of the kids. So that's where, you know, today we basically gave you a connectivity view, right? What else can you get from that connectivity? But imagine in the next few months, taking all that data and making intelligent decisions, helping you with the, you know, to actually improve student safety. I think Steve didn't mention it before, but, and obviously we don't want to take advantage of a bad situation, but another advantage of the sensor is to actually detect that he says ammonia. So I think when the kids and cleaning agents, so when the kids start getting back into school, and obviously there's going to be some very strict guidelines on cleaning, on the cleaning crews and schedules and things like that, you could potentially use the sensor as a way to ensure that the cleaning practices are followed, right? So there's really
That's correct. That's correct. But I think coming back to that is that understand that with the Halo, yes, you can put it in a standalone type of environment where it's just the halos. But the thing you want to ask yourself is, in terms of a situational awareness, the Halo is telling you, especially in privacy areas, where it happened, when it happened, and what happened. But it's all about trying to know who in that as well. So either you're going to be doing that through the video camera solutions that you have that have cameras outside the bathroom, or you're using Extreme, because Extreme is going to be able to tell you through the devices that are throughout the building, you know, who's close by. How do I respond quickly? Those all happen then very quickly within that. So yes, you can use the Halo as a standalone, but recognize there are certain situational awareness things that you're going to want as well.
Great. Well, I want to wrap this up, and first off, I want to thank special thanks to Steve Rice, IPVideo, and the Halo solution. And as you can see, it's a lot more than just a vape detecting solution, and a lot of opportunity additionally to schools as we're starting to see kids coming back in the next many months. Will Aguilar, I want to say special thanks to you and our product management here with Extreme. done a great job from an integration standpoint. And I know there's more, and I know there's a lot more coming into Extreme Cloud and our XMC solutions. So a lot more integration happening with Halo. So please, again, want to thank everybody for taking the time today. We will post this along with the questions in the next couple of days. And stay tuned. I know we'll be having more of these events. There is, I'll just bring it up. There's, we are doing these Wireless Wednesdays every week, talking through, what our wireless solution is bringing. We'll be talking through in the future, as well of additional integrations that we have with Halo. So if you can, make sure that you can join.
So Dave, Steve here. Thank you again, Extreme, for hosting this webinar. Look forward to working with you in your schools when it comes to safety, environmental monitoring, helping you with the challenges of what's going to be happening in our schools and various many dynamics that are coming forward. So with that, thank you all very much for attending. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you, Steve.
Be safe.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Thanks. Take care.